Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Caulfels, and I'm the chair of the Bermuda Race Organizing Committee. On behalf of the more than 60 volunteers from the CCA and the RBYC, I wish to welcome you to the 2026 Newport Bermuda Race Captain's Briefing. Congratulations on achieving a most critical part of the Bermuda Race, getting your boats and your crews prepared to race and to the starting line. This is a celebratory race for the Cruising Club of America and the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. And on behalf of the organizing committee and the Bermuda Race Foundation, thank you for participating in this historic race. Before we get to the heart of the meeting, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank all of our incredible sponsors, and in particular, our presenting sponsors, Bermuda Tourism, Rhode Island Commerce, and Goslings. And a special thank you to Orsted, the sponsor of our Starting Line Live show, and to Palm Beach, the sponsor of our new Gulfstream show, and to Helly Hansen, our performance apparel sponsor. Now I would like to introduce Commodore Anderson of the Cruising Club of America and Commodore Kemp of the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club to share their greetings.
As Commodore of the Cruising Club of America, I could not be more thrilled to welcome you to the 2026 Newport Bermuda Race. This year marks a century since our club began its partnership with the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club to organize this iconic ocean race. As you know, the Cruising Club of America is engaged in many activities, from publications, cruising guides, safety at sea programs, our annual awards to worthy sailors, over a dozen cruises annually. But nothing captures the international scene like the Newport to Bermuda race. With over 150 volunteers and an organization of over 25 committees, it pulls off this event every 2 years with apparent ease. But I can tell you, it takes a village, and the mayor of that village is Andrew Caulfels. We are so fortunate to have him at the helm. Special thanks to everybody, but especially Andrew and his team, who guide every aspect of the race. The CCA was in its early years when the partnership with the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club was formed. We are thrilled that the race continues to embrace the communities on both sides of the Gulf Stream and hope that new sailing enthusiasts will now follow the race for years to come. To that end, the Bermuda Race Foundation is in the middle of a capital campaign to guarantee the financial future of the race. You will hear more about this in due course. Alongside our partners at RBYC, we could not be more proud of the legacy of the Bermuda Race. This has become so much more than just a race. The Newport Bermuda Race is now a family tradition, an aspirational achievement, and the cause for celebration. To those sailing, best of luck and fair winds. We cannot wait to welcome you with a dark and stormy at the finish line.
Hello, I'm Hal Kemp, Commodore of the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. From all of us at the RBYC and Bermuda, we extend a very warm welcome to all the competitors who are sailing the 636 plus miles, and to family and friends who may actually be taking a slightly quicker and drier method and flying to our island. This is a landmark year as we celebrate 120 years edition of the Newport Bermuda Race and the 100th anniversary of a wonderful partnership between the Cruising Club of America and the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. This legendary blue race demands careful preparation and seamanship, and the Newport Bermuda Race showcases the very best of sailing, skill, passion, determination, grit, and above all, camaraderie. It takes a large number of people to pull off such a successful racing event, and we are indebted to the many organizers and volunteers on both sides of the ocean for their hard work. Safety remains a top priority always, and we are very grateful for the planning and diligence undertaken by the Bermuda Race Organizing Committee. I would personally like to thank Race Chairman Andrew Caulfels, who has bravely stepped forward for a second time to help us get all of us to the starting line, and the New York Yacht Club for getting everyone over that starting line. From our side of the stream, thank you to past Commodore Summers Kemp for accepting the position of Principal Race Officer, and to all my flag officers who have been doing their part to prepare the RBYC for your arrival, along with the club staff who are all looking forward to making your time at the club momentous, whether you're a newbie to the rock or seasoned triangle survivor. And of course, none of this is possible without the continued support of our sponsors, the Bermuda Tourism Authority, Gosling's Brothers, and the Corporation of Hamilton. A big thank you to our partners at the Bermuda Immigration Department and the Bermuda Customs Department. So, to all those participating, fair winds, following seas, safe sailing, and the very best of luck. We cannot wait to celebrate you all in Bermuda, with the darkest storm, of course.
Thank you, Commodores. We have impaneled an international jury for this event who will be in Bermuda to adjudicate any issues that arise. We thank them in advance for their service to the race and truly hope that their time in Bermuda will be spent relaxing with a rum swizzle rather than in the protest room. The jury have asked me to share a couple of details about interacting with them. If you have questions for the jury, please phrase them clearly so that they may be answered yes or no, and email them to jury@bermudarace.com. If the jury intends to answer your question, they will do so, and it'll be posted on the official notice board in the additional event documents section. Protests are to be submitted on the hearings board, where you may also submit requests for redress and also a scoring inquiry or a penalty acknowledgement. The buttons to do so are on the official notice board. Next, some words from the race committee. The race committee has asked me to share a few points to be highlighted. Class breaks were made available on the race website this morning and can be browsed or downloaded by clicking on the button View Who's Entered. And you can find that on both the race homepage and also on the notice board page. A starting group list with starting times was also posted this morning on the official notice board. By mid-morning tomorrow, Friday morning, the class breaks will be updated with FTCF ratings for the entire fleet. We'll send a notice to the primary mobile for the entry when that update is posted. We will also post the files that were used in the weather routing to generate your FTCFs, so you'll be able to view those files and run your own. The Bermuda Race Organizing Committee is grateful to have the New York Yacht Club start our race again this year. Led by Race Committee Chairman Piero Forrest Williams on the signal boat, we could not be in better hands. I'd also like to thank John Vins for once again donating the use of his beautiful motor yacht as the signal boat. Please be mindful of the standoff buoy. After the start of the race, we're grateful to have International PRO Summers Kemp serving as the chair of the race committee for the remainder of the race. The racing app, which you should have seen information about in Notice to Competitors number 6, the racing app will be used for check-in. There is no boat for check-in. There is no gate for check-in. There is no radio check-in. Please do not hail the race committee to check in. Check-in will be available on the racing app, and that will be approximately 2 hours before your start. You'll find the highlighted button on the screen there will become active in that 2-hour window, and you can follow the prompts to check in at that time. Because there's no check-in boat north on the course, we do ask you to stay very far away from the starting box until it is your turn to start. The racing app also displays the notice board, and if you have access to the racing app and it's connected to the internet while offshore, you can get access to all of the offshore notice board postings right on the notices tab on the racing app. You can also use the racing app to submit your finish declaration. It will be provided via SMS upon finishing as well. And you can also use it for retirement. Those buttons are grayed out on the bottom of the racing app, but will become active once the race starts. And now let's talk about a couple points about the start. The race committee is expecting to use Start Alpha in front of Fort Adams. And here's 2 graphics that I'd like you to take a look at. The green line obviously is the starting line itself, which it's intended to be stationary throughout all of the start cycles. The red line off to the west is the exclusion zone, the dumplings exclusion zone. Please do not navigate west of the exclusion zone. It's very challenging for us to marshal that area. There's lots of rocks and there's going to be tons of spectator boats. For the start, you should be flying the numeral pennant for your starting group, not your class. Your starting group, not your class. There could be multiple classes in a starting group. So for the race committee to understand who's properly in what start, you should be flying your starting group pennant. In terms of the start itself, Please pay careful attention to NOR 2.4, SI 8.3, and World Sailing Development Rule 2101 about alternative starting penalties. The bottom line is, if you believe you've started early and it is an outgoing tide, continue racing. Do not attempt to restart. Just continue racing to Bermuda. Another graphic, the lower, larger graphic, I wanted to point out because you should understand what infrastructure we have in place to marshal the course. On the west side of the course, there's a media alley, and further west of that in navigable water is still a transit zone for traffic. So there will be lots of boats transiting over there around the back of the large box that you must stay out of until your starting time or your starting group is called. That's all marshaled by a combination of DEM, Coast Guard, and marshals provided by the New York Yacht Club and the CCA. So you can expect to see a number of boats sort of patrolling that perimeter of the box. Thank you to the New York Yacht Club for their race committee for sending us off safely and in great style. Now, while racing, a couple of points. There is a continuous satellite watch requirement in SI 11.3. A list of random boats have been selected to be called during the race. It's not imperative that you answer the call, but you should be monitoring for missed calls and respond to that call within a stated time. Please see the detail in 11.3. In 2024, one of the sinking vessels was rescued by a vessel that was informed by satellite telephone. In a boat loss emergency, your most likely savior is a competitor, so please stay aware. Also, hazard reporting. Please take a look at Notice to Competitors number 7. Hopefully you've installed the Whale Alert app and you've also configured your routing software to monitor and report sightings. From recent vessel observations and flyover observations, there is a significant amount of cetacean activity along the rum line between here and the Gulf Stream, so please be aware. And now over to Dr. Rutenberg for a medical briefing.
My name is Adam Rutenberg, and I'm an emergency physician at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and I'm here to give you an orientation to the medical advisory services that GW Maritime Medical Access is going to provide for the race this year. Please note that this is the first year GW Maritime Medical Access is providing this service, so this represents a change from prior year's races. A little bit of background, GW Maritime Medical Access provides worldwide 24/7 medical advice to the maritime industry, and although we are new to your race this year, we have been doing this since 1989. We cover vessels in all aspects of the maritime industry, so we have clients that are commercial shipping vessels, food production, infrastructure, construction, as well as races and private vessels. We're based at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and we're staffed entirely by board-certified emergency physicians who are on the faculty at the George Washington University School of Medicine. Although all of our physicians work at the George Washington University Hospital in the ER, on days when we're taking maritime call, we're not in the ER, and so we don't have those competing priorities. If you have a medical emergency during this year's race, please contact GW MMA or Maritime Medical Access by either email or phone. Few points that I want to make about this. Email is actually preferred if you have a non-urgent issue. This allows us to triage the calls, keep the phone lines open for more emergent issues, and it also allows us to transfer information back and forth. For example, you can send us a photo of an injury, or we can send you a file with instructions for how to perform a basic medical procedure. That said, if you feel the need to call us, feel free to use the phone lines, even for a minor issue if you feel it's necessary. Couple points that I want to make about the phones. I've listed the primary and 2 backup numbers here. These actually all go to the same place. So we have a staffed communication center with a call management system. And generally speaking, if you call us on the primary number, you're going to get a live human within less than a minute. However, in the event that you are put on hold, please stay on the line, don't hang up. If you hang up and try to call one of the backup numbers, you'll lose your place in the queue and just start over. The reason we have these multiple backups is in case of system failure. So there's redundancy in our system. We have a cellular backup and the phones can fail over directly to the emergency department. So if you call the primary number or the first backup number and you get, for some reason, a busy signal or silence, anything other than pick up with a human or an automated message, then call the next backup number. What happens when you contact us? So as I mentioned, we have a call center. We call it the Worldwide Emergency Communications Center, and it's staffed by our WEC operators who are all EMTs and paramedics. Even though all the medical advice you receive will come directly from an emergency physician, the EMTs and paramedics help us manage the cases and they help us manage information. When you contact us, you'll initiate a consultation with the communications center. They will request some additional information, which I'll talk about in a moment if it's not provided. And then if it's an email, the email will be forwarded to a physician and you should receive a response within about an hour. If it's a telephone call, if you call us after getting intake information, the WEC will bring a physician on the line. The physician will talk to you or potentially ask some follow-up questions, take a medical history, potentially walk you through physical exam maneuvers and provide that information to us. And then we'll make a treatment plan and review it with you. Our cases are not one and done. So if you call us to open a case, we're going to set a follow-up schedule and we provide physician follow-up as needed until the case is resolved. We consider a case to be resolved either when the medical issue has resolved or if it can't be resolved on the boat, then the person has been transferred to a higher level of care shoreside. If there's a situation that arises where one of our doctors feels that the need for care exceeds the capabilities that are available on the boat, they'll bring a second physician in and we'll always have a two-physician discussion before we talk about making a recommendation for an evacuation or diversion. So when should you contact us? So our philosophy is that we want you to contact us early and contact us often. No issue is really too small and we would much rather you contact us early with a small issue rather than waiting and leaving something for a few days and having it potentially blow up into a more severe medical issue. You're welcome to contact us for non-urgent medical questions that you might have. And then you can also contact us for urgent care type issues. So these are situations where if you were at home, you might think about calling your primary care doctor or going to an urgent care. Different from prior years, however, you can contact us as a first call for a major medical emergency. In prior years, you've contacted the U.S. Coast Guard, and while you are still certainly welcome to contact the Coast Guard as a first call, we're actually set up to be able to put a physician on the phone with you within a few minutes if you have a major emergency. So for example, if you have someone with severe chest pain, or you have an unconscious person, or a confused individual, or a major trauma, you can call us as a first call. If you're in doubt, please just contact us, pick up the phone. There's no extra cost, and we would rather help you out than have you feel stuck. So what information are we going to ask for when you contact us? So hopefully by now you've been provided with a digital copy of the communications and medical protocols manual. This book is really not designed to be a textbook. You're not going to open it to a page that's going to tell you how to take care of a specific problem, but it will explain how to contact us and it will explain what information we might need for specific situations. There is a quick reference page, and I do recommend that you print that out and laminate it and place it somewhere where everyone on board can find it. Information we're going to ask for is really split into patient information and operational information. Hopefully by now you have medical histories for everyone on board. If you contact us, we're going to want to know things like the name and date of birth of an individual, what their past medical and surgical problems are, what medications they take, what allergies they have, as well as the names and contact information, potentially of their home physicians if we may need to reach out to them. This information should be available in a sealed envelope somewhere on board where anyone can find it if there's a medical emergency. And then we're also going to ask you for a summary of the current issue, and we may have follow-up questions. I'm not going to talk about that in detail. There are actually individual pages in the manual, so you can, if you have an issue, let's say with back pain or a fever, you can turn to that page in the book and it's going to let you know what questions we're going to ask. If you collect that information before you contact us, it is helpful, but you don't have to. If it's an emergent situation, please just reach out to us. We're also going to want to know operational information like your vessel name, how we contact you back. This is information we should already have, but we may want to confirm it. We are going to want to know your approximate location, your anticipated time to port, and then potential alternative ports. And we might ask you about resources on board. We generally keep medication lists and equipment lists on file, but we may want to know, for example, if you have a doctor or a nurse on board or someone who might be able to help with some advanced training if needed. Liaising with the Coast Guard. So, as I mentioned before, we can be the first call in a major medical emergency. If we make a recommendation for evacuation or diversion, ultimately the skipper has the final say in all decisions about where the boat goes and what care is provided on board. Generally speaking, we're never going to take and run around you and contact the Coast Guard, but we are happy to call the Coast Guard on your behalf if necessary. Generally speaking, what happens is the vessel or other designated shoreside individual will contact the Coast Guard, and if we need to have a physician-to-physician discussion with the Coast Guard flight surgeon to discuss a potential evacuation, we can do that. Keep in mind that the Coast Guard has very limited range and actually does have limited resources, so a helicopter evacuation can only occur up to about 200 miles offshore. That said, sometimes it is helpful to talk with the Coast Guard because they may be able to identify additional resources such as a naval ship in the area or even a commercial ship in the area that might be able to render assistance if needed. Closing thoughts, very important to make sure that everyone on board knows how to contact GW Maritime Medical Access, find crew medical histories, and locate and use all of the medical equipment on board. Very important to brief and drill for medical emergencies. And with that, I wish you a safe race.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Joe Cooper, and I have the honor of being the Director of the Fleet Communications Office for this year's Newport Bermuda Race. This office will be staffed in the building of Innovate Newport and with a crew of volunteers 24/7 from the morning of the race until the last vessel reaches safe harbor, the condition, not necessarily the boatyard. We monitor the progress of the race on trackers and transmit any comms the race committee wishes you to know about. In particular, we send twice a day the commander's weather forecast for the race course. Roughly 0800 and 1800. And there are other notices that the race committee wishes you to know about. We post those on the offshore notice board. In your skipper's bag, you will have a laminated sheet that contains a whole slew of numbers for the Coast Guard, for the RCCs in Boston, Norfolk, and Bermuda Harbor Radio. There is one number in there I'd like you to record and keep in your phones so that when it rings, you know it's us and not the insurance salesman. It's 401-308-3111. That is the direct line to and from the Fleet Comms office. There is also numbers for the medical watchstanders at George Washington University Medical Center. Concerning medical issues, after about 200 miles out of Newport, you are out of Coast Guard air asset range. If there is a medical issue on the boat, it's very unlikely there will be a helo coming to the rescue unless it comes from a vessel that's at sea, a Coast Guard or a US Navy ship. If you have a medical issue, bear this in mind, please. Assistance from commercial ships may, I repeat, may be a solution, but that is not our call. In these conditions, you must make direct contact with the RCC. Please note, we do not have authority or assets to institute any operations. We are essentially the switchboard, not an action unit. Nor can we tell you to take any particular course of action. As always, the master of the vessel must institute any and all actions they see fit to meet the occasion. If you elect to retire, please let us know so we understand why you have done a U-turn to Newport or a hard right for Cape Henry. We would like to know that your crew is in good health and the vessel is sound, other than the reason for retirement. If you have cause to call us, please remember this. When we hear telephone, our mind assumes the clarity will be as though we were speaking on a terrestrial landline or cell phone. This is not the case. In many cases, SATCOM's clarity is not much better than single sideband. I have listened to 150 sat phone check-in calls, and about 10% of them were sufficiently poor clarity that I had to listen to the recorded messages multiple times. So please, speak clearly. Think about what you want to say first. Announce the name of the yacht and spell phonetically. Include also, please, the sail number with country code. Tell us the reason for the call and what you need us to do. And remember, you are not haranguing your kids to come and clean their room. The gold standard, in my mind, for comms is the voice of a 1950s BBC newsreader. It is worthwhile, I think, making a card that spells the name of the yacht phonetically and taping it next to the phone. Now, one last thought. I was in the thick of the operation surrounding the Man Overboard episode on Morgan and Marietta in the 2022 race. Sometime into that operation, I had a call from the Coast Guard asking if I had next of kin information for the person overboard. That was the worst phone call I have had ever connected to boats in about 65 years around boats. So keep yourself and your mates safe, stay on the boat, have fun, and I hope I never hear from you. Thank you. Good luck.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate Summers, the Communications Director for the Newport Bermuda Race. First, congratulations. Making this far is an accomplishment in itself. You've completed the preparations, the inspections, the paperwork, the planning, and now you're ready to head offshore. I've enjoyed learning all about your teams through your bios and your emails. My job and the job of our media team is to help now tell your story to the world and help your friends, family, our sponsors, and fellow sailors follow along your journey to Bermuda. Please encourage everyone following your campaign to visit bermudarace.com/follow. QR code is right here. That's the central hub for all race coverage and the many ways people can stay connected throughout the event. Tomorrow, we will kick things off with the Starting Line live show presented by Orsted. It is streaming live on YouTube. The links are here. We'll also hope many of your supporters will be down at Fort Adams to join us for our free Starting Line Festival and for a big send-off celebration as the fleet begins its 636-mile journey to Bermuda. Once the fleet is underway, we will begin producing the Gulfstream Show powered by Palm Beach Motor Yachts, a new 15 to 20-minute daily broadcast that will be published each evening around 5 p.m. Think of it like the evening news of Bermuda. It will be available on all these links provided on our social media channels, and we will also be sending out a daily newsletter. We will feature race analysis, weather updates, interviews, fleet tracking, stories, and excitingly enough, from the Palm Beach 70 that will be joining the fleet as they cross the line. Thanks to Starlink, we're able to interview and connect with many of you offshore. We have connected with many of you already to set up interviews, but if you would like to have a recorded interview, please send us an email at media@bermudarace.com and we'll see if we can fit you in the show. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to send us updates, feel free to include us on your crew blogs or photos or anything. You can also tag us on social media at Bermuda Race. And you can also share your stuff directly with us in a one-way Dropbox called bermudarace.com/upload. There we can have access to the photos and videos, and we'll incorporate those in our race recaps, our newsletter, our social media, the show, everywhere. We really want to show the world what offshore sailing is really like, from those beautiful moments and sunsets to even the challenging ones and just what life is like on board as a team. For those also ashore, there's the Palm Beach Motor Yachts YB Tracker. The links are also at all of these places. You can download the app, real live locations, leaderboards. We also have that directly on bermudarace.com for tracking with results and everything. So we're really excited to tell your story, and thank you for letting us tell your stories. So much work goes into getting to the starting line, and we're excited to share that adventure with sailing fans around the world. And then we look forward to seeing you at the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. So safe passage, fair winds, and good luck to all.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about navigation safety and Ørsted's expected activity on the water for June 19th, the day of the race. My name is Claire Hodson. I am a member of the Marine Affairs team. Marine Affairs is Ørsted's dedicated team for maritime stakeholder management. We sit at the intersection of every project phase, and we're here to make sure that offshore construction and other users can thrive together. This is an overview of our role within the company. However, most relevant to you as sailors and the race is our role of communicating Ørsted's on-water activity to mariners to ensure safety on the water, as well as our management of fisheries liaison officers and safety and scout vessels, as those are your main support on the water if you need real-time information or have any questions about what you are seeing. So for communicating Ørsted's on-water activity, we ask our mariners to talk to our local fisheries liaisons or marine affairs for proactive information. That's this presentation to learn what you're going to see on the water before heading out onto the water. Additionally, we ask mariners to check our weekly mariners briefing. This provides a 3 and projected 7-day outlook of what you'll see on the water. And then once you're out there, we have those fisheries liaison officers and safety vessels available on VHF 16 in case you need more up-to-date information or you have questions while you're on the water. Resources for you. We have that mariners briefing I just spoke about, so you can subscribe or view the latest briefing at us.orsted.com/mariners. This provides a 3-day and 7-day projected outlook, as well as vessel names and photos. We take part in the U.S. Coast Guard Northeast District Local Notice to Mariners. This provides a similar weekly construction activity overlook. However, it also shares our anticipated safety zones for that week. The U.S. Coast Guard Northeast District broadcast to mariners. This is the best way to determine what those active enforced safety zones are. It's broadcast on VHF 16 and 1022. And because our activities that require a safety zone are going to be of greatest impact to the race, that's the best way to see what's going on and where it's happening. All of our projects are charted, so please update your NOAA chart if you haven't updated it since February 2025. That will ensure that you have all up-to-date project information for Revolution Wind, Sunrise Wind, and South Fork Wind. Additionally, those plotter files are available for download at marinernotices.com. Our skippers should listen for our security call. This is issued twice daily at 0600 and 1800 on VHF 16, and this will again share those security zone, the safety zone locations, as well as what other works are going on the water that day. Our Navigating in an Offshore Wind Farm resource, which can be found on us.orsted.com/mariners. It's linked right there. This also shares our lighting, marking, and signaling to help mariners navigate an offshore wind farm that's under construction and in operations. And you can see what that looks like down below. So here's a summary of Ørsted's U.S. offshore wind projects. So Revolution Wind, you see in blue. This is 65 turbines, 2 offshore substations. This is still under construction, however, it is 94% complete, and that power is currently going and will go to Rhode Island and Connecticut. South Fork Wind was completed in 2024, and that's 12 turbines and 1 offshore substation, and this power goes to New York. In orange, you'll see Sunrise Wind. This is 84 turbines, 1 offshore converter station, and this is 47% complete, and when complete, the power will go to New York. You'll see that line going through the lease areas. That is the Newport to Bermuda run line. So you may be entering our projects in Revolution Wind's northwest corner and exiting the area in Sunrise Wind's southeast corner. So this is just a very quick look at what to expect while you're out there. We'll get into more details, but I wanted to share this to show that there are no major operations on Revolution Wind at the moment. You may see vessels out there doing some activity, but we don't anticipate that that activity will impact the race at all. So moving forward, I'm going to focus primarily on Sunrise Wind, which again is that lease area to the south. So this is a summary of operations for Sunrise Wind. You'll see that we have expected locations as well as possible locations. Expected is where we anticipate to be. However, because of weather, we also want to provide that buffer of if the weather is bad, we might be delayed. If the weather is good, we maybe are ahead of schedule. So for foundation installation, we have Alpha Sierra 12, and the backup location for that would be moving forward at Alpha Sierra 02. Alpha Uniform 08 is our offshore converter station location. There's always a vessel at that location. There has been for months, and there likely will be through the end of the year. There is often a safety vessel at this, or a safety zone at this location. Alpha Victor 04 is wind turbine generator installation. So that will be the vessel Scylla. We'll go over this shortly. And we are currently at Alpha Victor 05. So if weather doesn't cooperate, we may still be at the location. And unlikely, but if we are ahead of schedule, we will be at Alpha Victor 03. And just to clarify, for major operations, I'm talking about the operations that have a U.S. Coast Guard safety zone. You will see other operations and other vessels on the water, but again, we don't anticipate that those will impact the race at all. But I'll share some details as well. So foundation installation, this is our major scope right now. The Bocalift 2 is installing monopiles, and they'll be at Alpha Sierra 12. Again, with that Alpha Sierra 02 other possible location. The Bear installs noise mitigation ahead of foundation installation. So you might see that vessel at Alpha Sierra 12, or it potentially has moved to Alpha Sierra 02 already. And that noise mitigation is indicated by surface buoys. The Target, Triumph, and Mighty Servant 1 are monopile transport vessels. So they may be alongside the Bocalift 2 or outside the lease area. Josephine Miller, Rana Miller, Berta Miller, TM Vigilant, and Go Liberty are protected species observers and sound monitoring buoy deployment vessels. This means that during foundation installation, they'll be circling operations a certain distance out for their protected species observer role. Or similar to the Bear, they may be deploying sound monitoring equipment before operations and kind of moving to that next location ahead of the Bocalift 2. When these monopiles are installed, they have a temporary cap light, and then the Bocalift 1 will come in and will install secondary steel. So that's a platform that goes on top of that monopile. And then once that platform is installed, there are 3 temporary lights. There is no safety zone around this work. However, as you'll see, the Bocalift 1 is also quite a big vessel. So just to be aware of what's going on there. The Sea Liberty and the Gary Rook are supporting this work. To reiterate, there is a 500-meter U.S. Coast Guard enforced safety zone in effect wherever the Bocalift 2 is operating. So here is a review of those locations we saw earlier. So we're expected for that vessel to be at Alpha Sierra 12. And again, you'll see the rum line going pretty much right through that location. So because of that 500-meter safety zone, if you are on that trajectory, we would advise that you avoid that area. And then we have that other location of the Alpha Sierra 02. Fingers crossed that we'll be in that location and we'll be well out of the race. Wind turbine generator installation, or VTG installation. The Scylla, seen in the photo to the right, installs turbine towers, nacelles, and blades. We're anticipating that the Scylla will be at that Alpha Victor 04 position, could still be at Alpha Victor 05, or it could have moved on to Alpha Victor 03. We'll see again in the chart, those are well to the west, so hopefully there won't be any interaction with the race. The VTGs are stored in New London, so a barge and 2 tugs will transport those components to the lease area. That being said, there may be kind of that spread going in and out of the leased area, and we would just ask for typical mariner navigation with a tug and barge. There is a U.S. Coast Guard safety zone around operations wherever the Scylla is working. So review, Alpha Victor 04, possible 03 and 05. Again, to the west, so hopefully there won't be any interaction with the race. Inter-array cable installation. The inter-array cables are those cables that bring the energy from the turbines to the offshore converter station. Right now, we have a pre-lay grapnel run happening. So the Go Adventurer is preparing the seabed for cable installation by clearing the cable corridors of marine debris. When in operation, the vessel is towing a grapnel hook and it's moving very, very slowly. Because it's towing that hook, we request a wide berth. Because it's moving, it's really difficult for me to kind of tell you right now where it will be on Friday. So we request that you check AIS for that location. We don't have any installation going on at the moment. However, the Sea Fighter, that red vessel, may be in the field just preparing for installation. It has no restricted ability to maneuver, so that would kind of be just a mariner interaction. Other major vessels that you might see, we spoke at the beginning about the converter station. So the Leviathan is that big jacked up vessel that has been stationed at Alpha Uniform 08, and there's a possible safety zone there. The Rocinante and the Subsea, you might see those in revolution wind. Again, no restricted ability to maneuver. The Sea Endurance is supporting sunrise wind. However, it will likely be at port or anchorage during the race. The Eco Edison is that big vessel that says Ørsted on the side, and that is supporting both revolution wind and sunrise wind. The Adamar de Saint Vignon, this is a major scope. However, it's on the export cable, which is well west of the leased area and closer to New York, so we don't anticipate any vessel interaction. The safety vessels you'll see on the field, those are the vessels that you can call on VHF 16 if you would like more information about what's going on or you have questions as you're moving into an area. Those are the Fleet Queen, the Pamela Ann, the Italian Princess, and the Madison Kate. And our CTVs are crew transfer vessels. There's an example, kind of that lower photo. So those will be going from Quonset out to different scopes in the lease area. Here are all the MMSI number for tracking on AIS. I've kind of bolded the vessels that are of the greatest importance to the race on Friday. And that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at claho, CLAHO, @orsted.com.
Good evening. My name is Summers Kemp, and I'm your principal race officer for the race. I will be focusing on the approach to Bermuda, which takes into account sailing instructions 9, 13, and 14. And later I will speak about the Bermuda Immigration and Customs procedures once you arrive at the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. First thing to note from this slide is that Bermuda is surrounded by a lot of reef. Here we can see the major marks on approach to the island, including North Rock, Northeast Breakers, Kitchen Shoals, and Mills Buoy. Please note at this time, Mills Buoy is not on station. Refer to 9.1J for its waypoint position to be honored. Also note that approaching at night at this time, the Gibso Lighthouse, which is normally visible at 21 miles from the island, is currently extinguished. But at the east end of the island, the St. David's Lighthouse and the Bermuda International Airport Aero Beacon are visible from 15 miles in good weather. It's important to recognize that North Rock, Northeast Breaker, and Kitchen Shoals beacons are all light towers with foundations built on dangerous, non-navigable reefs. These beacons should only be approached with extreme caution. As you can see from this recent photo of North Rock looking south towards the island, the reefs extend into the foreground, i.e. well to seaward. Approaching Bermuda, the first mark you probably will come close to is Kitchen Shoals, which is approximately 5 miles from the finish line. At this mark, you're required to activate your primary onboard mobile device in anticipation of receiving an SMS text message from the race committee. As per Sailing Instruction 13.3C, boats with non-functioning yellow brick trackers should make contact with the finish line team on VHF channel 72 to report their position. This is a close-up of the finish line area, and obviously the most obvious landmark at this position would be St. David's Lighthouse. The finish line is between two waypoints defined in Sail Instruction 9.1K and 9.1L, which line up with the intersection of the green and red sectors of St. David's Lighthouse. The light will bear 290 degrees magnetic upon you finishing. As an approximate visual reference of where the finish line is located, the port or offshore end of the finish line should be approximately marked with a black metal buoy, which may have a white flashing light and will appear on AIS as Race Mark East. The starboard nearshore end of the finish line should be approximately marked with a green metal buoy, which may have a green flashing light and appear on AIS as Race Mark West. Neither mark is guaranteed to be on the precise line, so please proceed well clear of the buoys and well through the line to ensure you've actually crossed. Take the time of your own crossing when the St. David's Lighthouse bears 290 degrees magnetic. All boats will be hailed by the race committee on VHF channel 72, welcoming you into Bermuda waters. As per Sailing Instructions 13.5C, upon finishing, you will receive an SMS message on your primary onboard mobile device with a link to your finish declaration. Use the link in the SMS text or use the racing app to submit your finish declaration, i.e., make sure you submit your time of finish that you observed in Eastern Daylight Time. As per Sailing Instruction 13.3A, boats shall not pass between the starboard nearshore end of the finish line or the green metal buoy and the shore at any time. After you cross, do not go back through the finish line. Head out to sea around the black buoy and then towards the channel, keeping clear of boats still racing. Prior to entering the ship's channel, proceeding to Hamilton, yachts are required to contact Bermuda Maritime Operations, i.e. Bermuda Radio, on VHF channel 27 for registration in Bermuda waters. This is a closer-up view of the Great Sound and the Dundonald Ship Channel and North Shore, the western end of the island. The RBYC and RHADC marinas will be monitoring your trackers to understand how many boats will be approaching along the North Shore and to be ready for your arrival. The RBYC marina will use VHF channel 74 and RHADC marina will use VHF channel 73. When you reach Two Rock Passage, please hail on those channels and await further instructions as you come into Hamilton Harbor. Again, this is a zoomed in layout of Hamilton Harbor showing you where the RBYC and the RHADC are located and their VHF channel numbers to use. This is a layout of the RBYC Marina. As per Sailing Instructions 14.2, while the RBYC is endeavoring to provide 24-hour berthing services, self-berthing is strictly prohibited. All boats must be met and assisted by the RBYC Dockmaster team. During periods of inclement weather, especially at night, boats should be prepared to hold at anchor if the dockmaster determines that conditions are unsafe for docking. Prior for your turn to dock and berth at the club, please ensure your boat is ready with lines and fenders well situated around your vessel. Please ensure you follow the directions of the berthing team, regardless however many times you've been to Bermuda. There are a few shallow spots that you're definitely going to need to take note of. Now I'll spend some time speaking about Bermuda Immigration and Customs once you reach the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. Do I clear Bermuda Customs Immigration in St. George's? The answer is a solid no. All skippers must report to the yacht club after finishing the race unless you're specifically told by Bermuda Radio when you finish to quarantine. Do I clear Bermuda Immigration at RBYC? All crew have cleared immigration in Newport, so you will not need to see the immigration officer at RBYC. If, for some slight chance, you have a crew member on board that did not clear immigration in Newport, then the boat must fly a Q flag, and the skipper and crew member shall report to the duty desk to speak with Bermuda Immigration. Do I clear Bermuda Customs at RBYC? Yes, you do. Prior to departure, all skippers must submit an arrival notification using the Sail Clear website app before starting the race. This is a pre-clearance. A Bermuda Customs officer will be on hand at the duty desk for passport verification and vessel arrival confirmation. What do I do after arriving at the RBYC? All skippers shall report to the duty desk to hand in their transponder and confirm submission of the Declaration of Health and BTA Tourism Survey. The skippers shall bring confirmation of sail clear entry details and all crew passports with them for review by Bermuda Customs. Should I fly my Q flag? Only if a crew member is contagious, or only if any crew did not pre-clear Newport, or if you're instructed to do so by Bermuda Radio, Bermuda Customs, or Immigration. Can we leave the boat upon your arrival? Only if the entire crew were pre-cleared by a Bermuda immigration officer in Newport. What if I'm berthed at the RHADC or elsewhere, i.e. not the yacht club? All skippers shall make their way to the duty desk at RBYC to hand in their transponder and confirm submission of the Declaration of Health and BTA Tourism Survey. The skipper shall bring all crew passports to the duty desk in the event of Bermuda Customs wishes to inspect them. The RHADC are arranging a shuttle for skippers to the duty desk at RBYC, and those details will be available from them. What happens when I leave for my return delivery? The procedures for clearing out of Bermuda following the race will be posted at the duty desk. These procedures will help avoid a boat needing to call into St. George's to clear out of Bermuda. Do my relief crew that are flying in need to do anything? It's highly recommended that crew flying in should tell the immigration officer at the airport what boat they will be returning upon and the anticipated departure date. They will also need to tell the immigration officer the address of where they will be staying while in Bermuda. If that is on the boat, that is not a problem. When you reach the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club, they are trying to be green this race and reach platinum status. Trash and recycling drop-off will be in the large dumpsters in the back alley behind the club. Please try to separate your trash from tin, aluminum, and glass. That is the recyclable products of Bermuda. Bermuda does not recycle paper or plastics. The bar will not provide plastic straws. Paper ones are available if requested, and the bar will be providing reusable cups. Please keep your cup and bring it back for refills. If you're done with it, please do not throw it in the trash, but place it at the end of the bar so that it can be recycled. Thank you very much for listening. This is the site of the end goal. This is what we're all looking forward to. We look forward to welcoming you at the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. Following the race, please sail safe and fast and enjoy the race, and we'll see you in Bermuda.
Thank you, Summers, for that nice review of arriving in Bermuda. A few final thoughts and reminders. Competitors should be aware that a video boat will be operating on the Fort Adams side of the starting area as part of the live show, and the Palm Beach 70 motor vessel Zephyr will be operating along the entire course to Bermuda, supporting the media team and the production of the Gulfstream show. Zephyr is not operating in any official safety, race management, or support capacity. Special prizes. We have a number of special prizes that are available, but you must apply for them. Please do so on the entry system. Also, team registrations. If you're not part of a team, please find a fellow competitor and join the team. Register also on the Sailor Portal. Finally, as race chairman, I want to express my personal thanks to the many volunteers from the CCA and the RBYC that make this race a reality for those of us who so passionately enjoy competing in and following this race. It has been my honor to serve for these past 4 years with them. I want to particularly thank my vice chair, Patty Young. Patty has been of immense help in executing this celebratory race, and without whom I would not be able to jump on my boat and enjoy this race with all of you. See you on the starting line.